Shalom, shalom, shalom. Greetings. Good day to all. And thanks for listening in and tuning in today to another video. It's your brother here, Ezra ben Khazar, Ezra ben Khazari. And this is going to be a part 2 into the look of my Haplogroup R1a1a-z280. All right. So we're going to pick up exactly where we left off in a bit, where we talked about the Republic of Mordovia. Now, something I figured I should show you guys that I've seen in my studies after doing the last video was the Mordvins. Remember, we spoke on the Mordvins and how this term was used for two ethnic groups. It was a Russian term for two ethnic groups. These ethnic groups was the Urzas, who I'm going to do a separate video speaking on something that I have a hypothesis about the Urzas, and the Mokshas. So, as looking into this term, Mordvins, I've seen that this is a term used for Jews. We already linked the Bertaz with the Mokshas in the last video, and they were Jews. So perhaps this is why. The term Mordvins has been commonly used since the early Middle Ages by non-Jewish Eastern Slavics and European peoples to denote all Judaic population in the region, regardless of their ethno-linguistic background. The majority of these, however, were indeed Jews, like Urzas, likely Mekchers, which were Mazars and Mishars, Mokshas, Moromians, Bertaz, probably Dravilians, and etc., and the Moksel kingdom. The Jewish faith was widespread, and Jewish holidays were observed since early times. Non-Jewish ethno-religious groups also existed, as at least one Christian church of St. Nicholas in Mordvinland was known in Siebersa country in 1401 county, So we see here that Mordvins was a term used for Jews in the region. And that's why this term was also used for Urzas and Mokshas in something called the Moksel kingdom. In etymology, it says the term derives from historical Mordins, the historical Mordin alliance. It was an alliance, which comprised of Urzas, Mekshas, Mokshas, and Moromians. This term became obsolete by the mid-19th century and considered a pejorative ethnic slur. Prerogative or pejorative? Y'all can correct me on that. Ethnic slur in the respective languages. So that's interesting. It became known as an ethnic slur. We'll have to look closer into these things in the future. But we see that this kingdom called the Moksel kingdom, the Jewish faith, was heavily invested in this kingdom. We'll do separate videos on there looking closer into it, because this video is about the RZ280. One more thing before we move on. Mordva, we look at it being used as a slur for Jews, Urzas, and Mokshas, and it is equal with the word Zid, it says, or Zid. It says these are terms for Jewish people in respective Slavic languages. These are considered ethnic slurs, anti-Semitic slurs. In the Russian section here, it says, in modern Russian, it has been an anti-Semitic slur similar to the word Yid, similar to the mid-19th century. So I'm wondering if this word is in connection to the word Yid, which is used as Yiddish later on. These are things that we will look closer into in the future, but it's very interesting to look in now as we see that my Haplogroup is within Moldova, between the Mokshas and the Urzas. All right. So as we spoke on in the earlier video, R1a-z280 has a ancient Finno Ugric Turkic Slavic origin. And I want to focus on the ancient Finno Ugric Z280 in this video because it seems like this is one of the biggest origins of it. It even seems that the Khazars could have been a Turkic Finno-Ugric group, similar to the Hungarians. As we know, Khazars did mix into the Hungarians. All right. So this first paper on Indo-European.eu is R1a-z280 and R1a-z93 shared by ancient Finno-Ugric populations. N1c tat expanded with the micro-Altaic. This title says a lot, as we see that the two main Turkic branches of Khazaria and according to my studies would be R1a-z280 and R1a-z93, which will be the royal class. We'll break these down in the following video. The N groups, the N1 groups, will be your original, how do I put this, Baltic groups, your northern groups, but they all share within each other. That's where you got your Uralo-Altaic convergence zone. So let's scroll down on this page, and we're going to read some excerpts. All right, here we go. This excerpt right here. R1a-z280 haplotypes shared by Maris, Mansis, and Hungarians, hence ancient Finno-Ugrians. We'll read some of this section here. The founder R1a-z280 haplotype was shared by 4 samples from 4 populations: 1 Bashkirian Mari, 1 Southern Mansi, 1 Hungarian-speaking Sike. Excuse me, I've been trying to figure out how to pronounce this word for the longest. Can someone please edify me on this? And 1 Hungarian, as presented in Figure 7, which is haplotype 1. Haplotype 2 included 5 males, 3 Bashkirian Mari, 2 Hungarian, as it can be seen in Figure 7. Haplotype 4 included 2 shared haplotypes, 1 Bashkirian Mari and 1 Hungarian-speaking Kasango. The remaining 2 Bashkirian Mari haplotypes differ from the founder haplotype 1, by 2 mutational steps via Hungarian or Hungarian and Bashkirian Mari shared haplotypes. Beside haplotype 1, the remaining Southern Mansi haplotypes were shared with Hungarians. Haplotype 5 are turquoise blue and red colored circles above haplotype 7, or with Hungarians and Hungarian-speaking Sike groups, haplotypes 3, 5, and 6. Haplotype 7 included 10 Hungarian speakers, Hungarian, Sike, and Kasango, 1 Hungarian, and 1 Uzbek Khwarizm, who we know have relations as well with the Khazars. Shared haplotype can be found in Figure 7 as well, red and white color circle. All the other haplotypes were scattered in the network. The age of accumulated STR variation within R1a-z280 lineage for 93 samples is estimated to be 9.4 KYA, and you can read the rest on your own. But here, look at this graph, and we'll see the populations sharing haplotypes of R1a-z280. And we see there's Mansi groups, Mari groups, Hungarian groups, and Uzbek groups. This is Finno-Ugric and Turkic coming together to make Hungarians, if you ask me. And Z93 is also shared within these populations, showing that all of these groups are original Finno-Ugrics, original even Turks, original Magyars, nomadic tribes. So let's go to the next article that we have here. A wide chromosomal study of Mansi population from the Khanda River Basin in the Urals. So this is looking at another Finno-Uralic study of Mansi populations. Let's read the abstract. Based on genetic studies, the Hungarian Y chromosomal gene pool significantly differs from other Uralic-speaking populations. Hungarian males possess a high frequency of haplogroup R1a-z280 and a low frequency of the haplogroup N-tat, which is uncommon among other Uralic-speaking populations. Previously, we published the northern and southern Mansi Y chromosomal data, and now further study to search the links between the linguistically related Hungarian populations. Samples were collected from the 36 southern Mansi males from Khanda River Basin in the Ural region. We analyzed male-specific markers, including Y STRs and Y SNPs, which would reflect past and recent paternal genetic history. In the case of the southern Mansi males, the most frequent haplogroups were N1b P43 at 33% and N1c L1034 at 28%, and R1a1a-z280 at 19%. For phylogenetic studies, networks were constructed for the most frequent haplogroups in the Khanda Mansi, together with the Khanty and Hungarian-speaking populations. The Khanda Mansi population shared common haplotypes within haplogroups R1a-z280 or N46 with Hungarian speakers, which may suggest that the Hungarians were in contact with the Mansi people during their migration to the Carpathian Basin. And to put this in a basic sense, the Hungarian conquerors had R1a-z280 and these EN haplogroups, which are shared between the Mansi, the Mari, and other groups like Khanty. They had these groups, including Z93, at the beginning, at the origin of the Magyar race. So let's go to the next article. This one is called Genetic History of Bashkirian Mari and Southern Mansi Ethnic Groups in the Ural region. This is kind of our third witness to what we already been learning. According to genetic studies, the Hungarian Y chromosomal gene pool significantly differs from other Uralic-speaking populations. Hungarians possess a significant frequency of haplogroup R1a-z280 and a low frequency of haplogroup NTAT, which is common among other Uralic-speaking populations. Based on this evidence, we further worked to define the links between the linguistically related Hungarian, Mansi, and Bashkirian Mari populations. Samples were collected from 45 Bashkirian Mari and 36 Southern Mansi males in the Ural region. We analyzed male-specific markers, including 23 STRs and 36 SNPs, which reflect past and recent paternal genetic history. We found that the haplogroup distribution of the two population samples showed high genetic similarity to each other, except for the NTAT and the R1a-z93 haplogroups in the Bashkirian Mari males. On the MDS plots constructed from FST and RST genetic distances, the Bashkirian Mari and Southern Mansi population groups show close genetic affinities with the Khanty, Northern Mansi, Mari, and Estonian populations. For phylogenetic studies, networks were constructed for the most frequent haplogroups in both populations, together with other Eurasian populations. Both populations share common haplotypes within haplogroups R1a-z280 or NL1034 with Hungarian speakers, suggesting a common paternal genetic footprint that arose in prehistoric or historic times. Overall, the Hungarian, Mansi, and Bashkirian Mari populations have a much more complex genetic history than a traditional linguistic model or history would suggest. Further studies are needed to clarify the common genetic profiles may have been acquired directly or indirectly during the more or less known their history. So they're going to keep on going into it, but what is known is that R1a-z280, R1a-z93, and the intact groups, the N groups, were one people or closely knit people since prehistoric times or historic times. This next article that I want to go into is Diverse Genetic Origins of Medieval Steppe Nomad Conquerors. This article is focusing on the Khazarian culture and genetic analysis of the population of Khazaria. So I want to take you to the section, Khazars in the context of Bronze Age material. Let's read and look at the picture here. It says, from published literature, we added 587 ancient Eurasians to this database that they used above to understand possible relationships between the Khazars and Bronze Age populations. We found that most of the Khazar samples grouped together and that Paziric Iron Age samples consistently appear as admixed matches for the Khazar samples. Khazaric is a Scythian period nomadic culture in the 6th to 3rd century BC. And we talked about the Scythians in the last video that flourished in southern Siberia. And several well-preserved burial containing mummified remains were found in the Altai Mountains. However, with the genetic resolution of our data, both present-day and Bronze Age material suggests that the geographic origins of the Khazar population were geographically similar. In other words, both data sets point to the Khazar origins across a broad swath of Central Asia and admixture with Eastern Europe and the Middle East. All right. To keep it short and simple for you guys, basically it's saying that the Khazars originated from the culture of the Scytho-Siberian world. More specifically, the Khazaric culture, which if you look at the Khazaric culture, a quick look in the DNA analysis will show you haplogroups R1a1 being there. And look at this picture real quick. We will see ancestors of Khazarian people were the people from the Scytho-Siberian world, Sarmatians, steppe people, general steppe people of Eastern Europe, and Levant Bronze Age populations. Could that be that Shemite admixture from the Khazarian kingdom, Israelites fleeing to Khazar? And then descendants showing what populations they're similar to. We see Uzbek area with Tajik people, Turkmen people, Ishkazim, that's that Uzbek area. And then we see Kazakhstan. And then we see also the Finno Ugric groups, such as Khanty, which was genetically similar to Mansi, Evik, and Yakut. So these are interesting things to see. To dig deeper into some of the Hungarian history, remember, we found R1a-z280 to be a founding lineage within this population. In another article I'll bring up here, this one is called The Paternal Genetic Legacy of Hungarian-Speaking Redkos and Va Valley Populations. We're going to speak on Redkos in a future video. But in this article, looking at Y chromosome diversity, real quickly we see here that the most frequent haplogroups of this population was R1a-z280. But remember when I said that there's some genetic evidence of possible Israelites being within the Magyars/Khazars? We see here in this graph E1B1M123, a common known Jewish haplogroup. EM123 is best known for its major subclade EM34, which dominates this clade. However, earlier studies did not test for EM34, looking beyond its geographical patterns. EM123 is also quite common in many Semitic language communities, including among both Ashkenazi and Sephardic Jews, accounting for over 10% of all male lines. Those who know me and know what we believe over here, the E groups will be your quote-unquote authentic Israelites who descend from Jacob or descend from Abraham. So that's interesting to see that they were indeed people who could be true Israelites within the Magyar/Khazar population. One thing about that article I didn't like is at the end they said that R1a-z280 couldn't be a founding population. Even though we've proven that to be incorrect, they should have studied up on that. I'm surprised that they made that mistake. We will go to the final study here. The Y chromosome haplogroups from Hun, Avar, and conquering Hungarian period nomadic people of the Carpathian Basin. All right. And a quick look into the graphs here, you'll see under conqueror period, we have a couple of R1a1a, 1b, 1a, 2s, and 1s, which is the Z2180 branch. showing that is indeed a conqueror branch. It is indeed a founding branch. And when we go down even further in the paper, it'll show you their the way they look, their appearance, which you will see that they had roughly light to dark brown hair colors, intermediate shades. And you'll also see that they were mixed European and East Asian ancestry, which is interesting to look at. Real quickly, we see this map as well of ancient samples. We have something of the Scytho-Siberian world, the Androvenal culture, found there. We have one found in the heartland of Khazaria, down here during the same time. And then we have lots of samples within Hungary, conqueror samples and Avar samples, Hunnic samples. And then we also have Viking samples, which we will make another video on the Vikings later. There's a couple of Vikings that have the same lineage, and we'll go into that as well. I believe that they could be related to Khazars. Now, I know I jam-packed this video with lots and lots of information, but basically I wanted to nail in what I believe R1a-z280 to originate and to be Magyars/Khazarian lineage. Shalom. Hope that you enjoyed this video. And next, we will look at some other things and go even deeper. Shalom, and have a great day. Peace. Like, comment, and subscribe. See you till next time.